I believe the writing is definitely on the wall, that electric cars are here to stay. And that's why all of the major manufacturers are jumping on electrification of their vehicles in a big way. That's why Audi is excited to introduce their first full electric mass-produced vehicle, the 2019 Audi e-tron. Now, I'm about to give you the shortest YouTube car review I've ever done, and it's especially crafted for those of you viewers with short attention spans. Are you ready? The Audi e-tron is basically an electric Audi Q8. There. Thank you, and good night. Okay, that's just my opinion, and I could be wrong. Now, for those of you that would like to hear a little more about it, as you can see, it's a mid-sized SUV that will seat 5 people and has a decent amount of cargo space. The e-tron's about 1.5 feet shorter than the Q7 to enhance its maneuverability, and it enjoys a 6.9-inch ground clearance. Now, here's where electric cars get really interesting. In order to maximize the driving range, the goal is to reduce wind resistance and enhance the vehicle's aerodynamics as much as possible. So, if you climb under the e-tron, as you can see, the undercarriage of the e-tron is absolutely flat, smooth as silk, because they want to enhance the aerodynamics, like I mentioned. And this is also where they keep the 95 kilowatt-hour battery all the way down in the floor of the vehicle. That not only enhances the stability of the drive, but it also lowers the center of gravity, gives you a much more solid feel. Oh, and by the way, the battery system for the e-tron has an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty. It's really cool. They've done a nice job. You ought to check it out. Here, check it out. And speaking of drag coefficient, the e-tron comes in at only 0.30, and that's strong, especially when you couple it with the 2 electric motors powering the e-tron. One's situated up front, one in the rear. And that'll take it from 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds. Bam, that's quick. 402 horsepower, 414 pound-feet of torque with up to 490 pound-feet of torque with the boost engaged. Did you hear me? 490 pound-feet of torque. And of course, as everyone knows by now, you don't have to go through gears like you do with a gasoline-powered engine. So it's pure acceleration and pure fun. Now, of course, if you load the vehicle down with people and cargo or happen to be trailering something heavy, if it's properly equipped, of course, and it can handle up to 4,000 pounds, then your acceleration is going to suffer just a bit, as well as your distances between charges. So you have to take that into consideration. The good news is that the Audi e-tron has an estimated driving range of about 204 miles. But as I said, as we all know, speed, weight, and weather can affect that. The colder the weather, the more the electricity used, the hotter the weather, the more electricity used. You get the idea. But the good news is most of us don't drive 204 miles a day, so you can simply charge up at night with your outlet at your house. However, if your e-tron has no juice at all, it'll take you around 80 hours to get a full charge. Don't recommend it. But anyway, better to put it into a 240 outlet and get a full charge in about 9 hours. But are you ready for the good news? Go to a 150 watt, that is kilowatt DC fast charger and be 80% full in only 30 minutes, which will get you around 160 miles. If you take it and had only 10 minutes to charge it up, you'd still get about 54 miles. And they are absolutely improving the charge capabilities of these vehicles every year. I can even imagine one day that they'll have a charging pad for cars, just like they have for cell phones now. So you just pull into your drive, it'll charge up, no wires, no muss, no fuss. When you buy the e-tron, by the way, you also get 1,000 kilowatt hours of charging to use at Electrifying America fast charging stations within the first 4 years of ownership. That's 1,000 kilowatt hours. Boom. Thank you, Audi. We appreciate it. Plus, there are currently 16,000 charging stations nationwide here in the United States, with a ton more to come. You can even download the Audi app to indicate where the charging stations are on your trip if you're taking a long one, so you can plan accordingly. And by the way, have I mentioned that the Audi e-tron battery comes with an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty? Huh? Have I? So, where do you fill this puppy up? Well, let me show you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're here for a demonstration of how to charge the 2019 Audi e-tron. It's amazing. This is a world's first, and you're going to play a big role in it because you're the viewers. Check this out. First thing you want to do is you want to push this little button right here. Oh. Okay. First thing you want to do is keep your head away from this little door right here. So anyway, it was just this little button right there. Okay, it's right behind the e-tron logo. And then, depending on your charging system, you just, bam, plug it in, light comes on, and ladies and gentlemen, you are charging. Not bad, huh? Now here's the key. If you want to take this out, very important, push this button first, and then you can pull it out. Ba-da-boom. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Next show at 5 o'clock. Okay, so if you don't have a gasoline engine up front, what's under this thing? I'll show you. Some people, since this is primarily a storage area now, since there's no gasoline engine, call it a frunk, a front trunk. I don't. I think that's ridiculous. But it is a storage area, and it's a nice place to keep your charging cables or whatever else you'd like to store up here. And of course, you have one of your electric motors up here. So anywho, having an electric vehicle means you won't be changing your oil anytime soon, or your transmission fluid, or even replacing a worn-out exhaust system. Just make sure to keep air in your tires because it's really hard to drive anywhere when they're flat. Well, at least that's been my experience. The only sound you hear is a gentle hum of the electric motors, and you have a separate sound when you put the car into reverse to let people know you're there. There's actually a speaker in the right wheel well, and that's required by law to help keep people safe. So they'll hear you coming, they'll hear you going. One of the first things you can't help but appreciate is the styling of the e-tron. That is, it looks like your regular SUV styling. It doesn't have that space age, I'm an electric car, in your face sort of obnoxiousness that some vehicles have, and I'm not going to mention any names. But there is a certain amount of e-tronization that's been enhanced into the vehicle, such as Audi's standard signature large grille up front. But it's been enhanced, more aerodynamically designed along the way with the vertical slats as well as the horizontal slats. And of course you have air intakes, but that's just to control the stability of the vehicle, not to cool any engine. But it could cool the electric motor just a little bit. Up front you have, of course, Audi signature LED daytime running lights, as well as the Matrix design LED full beam headlights. Absolutely brilliant. As you come around the side, you can't help but appreciate the aerodynamic creases that are brought from front to back, along with the sloping roof line. We have cameras all the way around the vehicle for the amazing 360 views to enhance your parking capability or enjoyment of the vehicle. And as you come around to the back of the vehicle, you can see you've got your integrated rear spoiler as well as the backup light, the third high tail light, and your LED brake lights and reverse lights are absolutely gorgeous with the integrated light bar back here. And check out the exhausts. Had you going there, didn't I? There's no exhaust down there. It's an electric car. Get with it. Come on. Of course, you can appreciate the 5-link independent suspension system. It's an air suspension that works with your drive mode select to allow you to personalize the driving characteristics as well as the ride height of the vehicle. And speaking of ride height, you can appreciate these beautiful aluminum alloy rims, and they'll run anywhere from a 20 to 22 inch size for you. And of course, one of the things you recognize right away is that this is quattro all-wheel drive. But this is a different system than the mechanical system. With a gasoline engine, obviously you have a drive shaft going down the center, rear differential, rear axle system. Here it's just two electric motors. So they have to communicate with software, and that's a brand new, totally redesigned system, and it's absolutely amazing. Now, as far as cargo space is concerned, you can release it from the inside, from underneath, from your key fob. But when you get back here, you'll notice you have a large amount of space, 28.5 cubic feet of cargo space with the back seat up. And then if you lower the seats, you have 57 cubic feet of useful cargo space. Plus, there's an additional storage area underneath here where you have your emergency spare tire, and you'll also note the integrated subwoofer. And on the side, you have two netted areas, which are kind of nice, but you could also take those nets off and probably fit, I dare say, a bag or two of golf clubs back there for those of you so inclined. But if you need more space, you have a 40-20-40 split folding rear seat, so you can have a pass-through for longer items or for passengers, one side or the other. And to drop them, all you have to do is pull this lever right there. There's one. There's two. Voila. Lots of useful cargo space. And you can obviously see it goes way up here for bigger items if you want to haul something out the back. But you can also change the height of the door just by holding this button for a couple seconds. Told you. It'll stop right there each and every time. So that way if you have a smaller garage, bam, it won't hit the roof. And there's even a little safety device. If I want to close it and it hits something, it'll rise back up again. So it'll help keep you safe and secure. I bet you'd buy it for that reason alone, wouldn't you? Just asking. Look. Wiper blade, too. Audi thought of everything. Now, the back seat is very, very spacious, and I know I'm not the tallest person in the world, but there's a decent amount of headroom back here. Adjusting the seats, you've got plenty of leg room, store your feet underneath, and the person in the middle doesn't have that drive shaft hump, so there's just a very tiny rise in the floor. They still got to split their feet, but it's not bad at all. And since you have quad zone air conditioning, you have individual controls up front, and the passengers in the back can control their own temperatures along the way. Plus, you have your side vents as well for extra comfort, and down here you have another 12-volt power source as well as two USBs. Back nets, whatever. I don't know, does anybody really use these at all? I'm just asking. So anyway, you do have the fold-down armrest. Oh my gosh, pop out. Check that out. Your cup holders, very, very fancy. Additional storage and cup holders, something for pens or paper or chewing gum laid flat. Not in the package, it might be too big. And as well as, check this out, way up here, you can barely see it. This is where you can fold it down for those long items I told you about. 40, 20, 40. So it's very useful, very practical, and very luxurious. Ready for an electric adventure? I love the hum of the e-tron. It is just so outer worldly. You're just moving, you're just zipping along. That's very cool. Very nice. Of course, it doesn't have the growl and the punch of a gasoline engine, but still, it's electric. It's the way it should sound. All right. We have our paddle shifters, and everyone knows that typically controls the gearing of the vehicle, give it a more sporty feel. In the e-tron, instead, the negative actually increases the resistance in the regenerative system so that it slows the vehicle down a bit while helping to charge the battery systems, while the positive lightens the resistance and improves the performance of the vehicle. Once you get inside the e-tron, you know you're in an Audi because it is so luxuriously appointed and just laid out so nicely and intuitively, especially for the driver. You have your 12.3-inch screen dead center, and this is the virtual cockpit. So you have all of your instrumentation digitally displayed and your multimedia interface, etc., and that you can control. You have a 10.1-inch screen, touch screen over here, and that's for your multimedia infotainment system, navigation, which we do have on this one, and it is crystal clear. Plus, you have an 8.6-inch touchscreen down here for your temperature control, climate controls, things of that nature. They're all fingertip controlled, and they're haptic controlled. Like navigation, you can feel a little haptic click there, so it gives you that tactile feel that you can appreciate. One of the nice things too is you have the ability to adjust your view of the virtual cockpit. There's a button right here on the steering wheel. I can control it so I can reduce the tachometer readout and the speedometer readout and increase the map to cover side to side so it enhances your visibility, or I can bring it back to enlarge the tach and the speedometer. So the choice is yours. You're in control of the e-tron. So you do have a bit of redundancy as far as screens are concerned, but I think we're pretty much used to that. I mean, you have your television screen, you have your computer screen, you have your cell phone screen, as well as even a smartwatch screen, so why not a few more? There's a tremendous amount of soundproofing in the e-tron, and it really does provide what they call a tranquil environment. And that allows you to really enjoy the standard sound systems that Audi provides, which are really excellent. But if you want to step up to the premium Bang & Olufsen 3D surround 16 speaker 705 watt sound system, it is absolutely stellar. It really enhances the sound of the music so you hear how the music was meant to be experienced, with the way it was recorded and the way it was engineered. It was absolutely pristine. Just amazing. The infotainment system is also Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatible. The e-tron glides down the road, especially when you have your Drive Select feature. You have your all-road capability, your efficiency, which is, eco mode, so to speak. You also have the comfort mode, like I'm in now. I normally drive in a comfort situation. I like to be comfortable. As well as the auto select and dynamic mode. So you can actually raise and lower the air suspension system to accommodate those settings. And it just gives you a lot of variety of fun and performance. And the steering is, just like everything else, smooth, responsive, but obviously a little tighter in the sport mode. The e-tron comes in two trim levels. One is the Premium Plus, which starts out at about $74,800, and plus, of course, here in the States. And the other is the Prestige, which starts out at around $81,800 plus. All right, here we go. We are in the home setting, and I'm going to touch navigation. You hear a little clip. Now I'm going to hit search. And what it does, it allows me down here to use my finger to draw the letters of this place I'm looking for, like Starbucks. So you can do it while you're driving, keep your eyes on the road, and be a lot safer. That is so cool. I love that feature. Star. R. Bugs. B. I love that. And she's got a very soothing voice, which is kind of nice too. Technology is there to keep you safe. They have all the usual driver assistance. Again, the more packages you get, the more technology you get. Your blind spot detection, lane change assist, adaptive cruise. The seats are extremely comfortable. This leather seating surface is glorious to the touch with a nice contrast stitching in there. Plus you have your burled walnut inlay with a nice aluminized accent here. The side area here, you'll notice it's a little raised, which is kind of interesting because in Europe, as I understand it, they don't have regular side mirrors, they have cameras, and those cameras will actually have a screen right there. So a lot of people wonder, how come they got this big flat area? That's where they put their side mirror view, which is kind of interesting. Now, as far as the center transmission shifter, they don't have one. It's just this beautiful, giant, basic handrest where you use your thumb to just glide the little button forward if you want to put it in park, slide it back with your index finger to go into drive, and there's a button on the side for parking. And that's all it is. You just use your fingertip control, literally. That allows extra storage area down the center. There's even a phone clip down here where you can tuck your phone, and then you have your cord where you can attach it to your USBs, which are right down here. Plus SD card, 12 volt. And there's 2 cup holders. I have bottles in here. But if you take them out, as I will, and you want to close those bottle holders up, there's a nice little shelf that just glides right into position. So you can then put something else and rest it on top. You have the ability to obviously charge the vehicle at your house. You can set up a timer so that you can pre-charge the vehicle when the cost for electricity is lowest, so that you can, save a little bit as you do that. You can pre-start the car and preheat or pre-cool the vehicle so that that'll extend your driving distance because you don't have to use that energy to get the car initially charged up. You can do it right at home, which is very nice. And as I mentioned before, you have access to all your charging stations across the nation just on your navigation system, on your screen readout. So that gives you a tremendous amount of security and peace of mind, knowing I know how far I can go in this electric vehicle and I'm not going to be stranded. So anyway, there's obviously a lot of competition out there in the electric car field with the Tesla X and the Jaguar I-Pace and all of that. But I think that's the reason Audi knew it had to step out and put its best foot forward. And I think they really did an amazing job with the e-tron. And if you're looking for something that's going to be a nice mid-size SUV, comfortable for the family, plenty of cargo, and take you where you want to go nationwide, electrically, bang. You might want to check it out. It might just be the full electric vehicle you've been looking for. And by the way, did I mention the battery of the system? It has an 8-year... Just kidding. But you were listening, weren't you?